Hello and welcome to that Deacon on YouTube. Now, a few things have happened since I've seen you last. I know I promised to do a video about discernment, and at the time, a few things have taken place. One was my vacation time came upon me rather quickly. So I think what I'm going to do is talk about something else this month that has totally gripped the nation. And then when I come back, I will put off doing a video until August. So when I see you in August, I will promise to give you our two-part interpretation and discussion about discernment. But in a way, discernment has a lot to do with what I'd like to talk about today. Now, you're not going to look at my mug during this whole video because some disastrous things have taken place over the past week. And I have sensed that tension is extremely high. And I've seen the stress level of this nation skyrocket, especially with regard to the outrageous and senseless and downright mean-spirited attempt by the current administration to separate people coming here for asylum and separating children from their parents. And so what I'd like to do is take you on a little walk with me as we discuss this today. Some of you may have remembered that this December, my husband and I moved to Arcadia, California. And right up the street from me are two big venues. I could actually walk here. It's almost 90 today, so I drove, but on a regular, beautiful Southern California day, I can literally walk to the Los Angeles County Arboretum. And this property is famous for a couple of things. One is, you might remember, what was that show? Fantasy Island. The cottage that was built for Lucky Baldwin's wife was used on that TV series. And also, believe it or not, in the 1930s, Tarzan with Johnny Weissmuller was filmed here. But I'm taking you on a little walk. And what I will do is just give you a couple of insights that I've had over the past week. It's interesting. I started my vacation break and things were calm and I was just settling in. And then, as happens with this presidency, all hell breaks loose. And we watch the country sink to another low, in my opinion. Mainly because what this current administration does is just react, and always in a negative way that causes people harm. Causes people harm to such an extent that it's just downright nasty and mean. And what is that response for us as people of faith? As soon as this no tolerance policy took hold, and I started to see various people supporting an otherwise evil position, it called to mind something that I think those of us who have studied the Bible, especially since our Attorney General has totally massacred an understanding of Paul's letter to Romans, I think it's important to point out that we are seeing what the Bible called false prophets. And we hear that term bandied about all the time. So I thought I would share what exactly a false prophet is. And it's a pretty simple definition. But maybe the current tide of understanding could be enforced by pointing it out. A false prophet is a cheerleader for a leader who, no matter what position they take, supports it. So you're seeing the Attorney General support it. You're seeing commentators on Fox News report it. And they're all supporting a policy that I would say at least 85 to 90% of people living here and across the world find distasteful. The policy of separating children from their parents and not taking adequate responsibility with where the children were moved and how to reconnect them with their parents. That's totally unconscionable. So anyone who would support that position, especially someone in authority, is basically fulfilling the function of a false prophet. And that's what a false prophet is. Those people, especially people of faith from all areas of the globe that are denouncing this sort of behavior, are taking a prophetic stance because they are acting in God's interest and becoming a spokesperson for God with regard to the adequate and humane treatment of other human beings. When we hear a president talk about an infestation, that totally dehumanizes people. And this act of dehumanization is pure, unadulterated evil. And evil must be combated wherever it is spoken and wherever it comes from. I can't think but remember my own family. You know, on my father's side, I am first generation American. My father was born in what was then called Austria-Hungary. But the interesting thing is, my father came through Ellis Island as a baby. And his name was recorded. In fact, it could be on the wall over at Ellis Island, where they talk about the immigrants who have come here in the Great Migration in the first half of the 20th century. Well, his name was recorded there. They knew how to take names and tie them to their parents. So what is the response of a good, faithful Episcopalian? Well, there have been a few of our clergy who are a part of Sacred Resistance who have taken to the streets. Just yesterday, a group of clergy were part of a major demonstration when the Attorney General came to town in Los Angeles, and they were arrested quietly and I guess with dignity. But they were standing up to protest against this inhumane behavior of other human beings. But maybe you would want to donate some money to an organization like sacredresistance.org. Or maybe you want to engage with someone who is an obvious immigrant. Listen to their story. Let them know that you are supportive of their right to live and flourish. So whatever way you feel comfortable doing, we are bound by something. And that something is our baptismal vow. Yes, we repeat it a few times in the year, sometimes at a baptism, sometimes at the great vigil of Easter. But we are asked to respect the dignity of every human being. So my question to you is, how Do you feel comfortable fulfilling your vow, your baptismal vow? That is something that you have to decide for yourself through, guess what? Discernment. But please try not to be derailed by people talking about immigration. Immigration is a major problem that has to be addressed in our Congress. And there are ways that maybe we can treat people humanely. But separating children from families is unconscionable and should not be held hostage by the term zero tolerance. We have zero tolerance for this type of behavior. There was a woman I listened to on the news yesterday who said to the reporter interviewing her, "I notice you have a white shirt on. Did you take it to the laundromat?" And he said yes. They asked, "Did you receive a ticket?" He said yes. So you mean a laundromat can do a better job of recording someone or something, if you want to go to that position, left off, and our government can't? See, that's why this is something that we cannot put up with, and we cannot condone. My husband gave me a Ancestry.com membership for Christmas one year. And what I found interesting was that at various points during the census, even after my family were citizens and naturalized, they would change their country of origin, mainly because their country of origin changed all the time. They would change it when there were particular tensions with other countries. So at one point they said they were Austro-Hungarian. At other times they said they were Austrian. And then during World War II they said they were Yugoslavian, depending upon the mood of the nation. So this sense of treating immigrants and people who were not born here as outsiders and someone to be seen as dangerous is something that has been part of this nation's DNA for some time. I am hoping as we confront the blatant evil of the past 2 weeks, we can nudge a step forward so we can fully grasp the need to change and to accept and to treat others better with a more human focus rather than someone who is seen as the enemy or lesser than other people. Please don't buy into the rhetoric of this administration, which is basically, the rhetoric is chosen to divide and to instill fear and to look at others as less than they should be. That is not our role as people of faith. See, those of us who are people of faith and who try to live their faith in their daily lives must really step away from this and not accept that type of behavior as part of who we are. It's been a long time since the church could say, hey, we're offering you a different way of seeing, a different way of being. Now is our chance to fully embrace that way, that truth, and that life. So I'm finishing up my walk here at the Arboretum. Just over the pond there is the great Queen Anne cottage. And I'm making my way back to my car. So I'll see you all in August. And let us hope and pray that all people of faith can do what they can in whatever way they feel comfortable to stand up against this blatant bigotry, xenophobia, and downright hate of others. Let us try to show the world that we are better than that, especially for us as Episcopalians who have been asked and have agreed to respect the dignity of every human being.